Love after 60. If a man wants to sleep with you, he'll say this to avoid sounding cheap.
Welcome to Wise Life After 60. So grateful to have you here. Ladies, let me be honest with you. Even after 60, there are few things more thrilling than the moment you realize a man desires you. You see it in his eyes, in the way his tone lowers, in that pause when he looks at you just a little too long. It's a spark that reminds us we are still very much alive. But here's the truth. Most men will never say directly, "I want to sleep with you." That feels too blunt, too risky, too easy for you to reject. So instead, they speak in code. They don't flash a neon sign that says, "Take me to bed." They drop breadcrumbs, phrases, invitations, suggestions that lead in that direction. And unless we know how to decode them, we risk misinterpreting temporary desire for something deeper. That's where so many women get hurt in love after 60. Because while some older men are truly seeking respect, partnership, and companionship, others are simply looking for the comfort of a one-night stand. And the difference lies in the words they choose. This is why it matters. When we recognize the language of desire, we stop being confused. We stop second-guessing whether he sees us for who we are or just for what we can give him in the moment. Awareness gives us the power back. We get to choose with clarity and confidence what feels right for us. So in today's talk, I'll share the subtle things a man says when he wants intimacy. Phrases that sound sweet, but carry a very different meaning underneath. And before we dive in, I'd love your support for Wise Life After 60. If love after 60 and understanding older men matters to you, please like this video and subscribe. Ready? Let's dive in.
You should come over. It sounds harmless, doesn't it? A man leans in after a date or sends you a message late at night and says, "You should come over." At first, the words feel almost sweet, like he simply wants your company, your laughter, or the comfort of watching a movie together. But if we listen more closely, if we look at the moment these words appear, we begin to see the hidden meaning. This invitation is rarely about wine or conversation. More often, it is about intimacy, disguised in casual clothing. I have learned that men rarely say what they mean when it comes to desire. Directness feels too risky, too easy to refuse. So instead, they wrap their intentions in softness. By saying, "Come over," he is really saying, "I want you in my bed," but without putting himself in a position to be rejected outright. If you point it out, he can laugh and deny it. He can say, "No, I only meant to hang out." And yet both you and I know that's not the whole story. The key here is context. If you've been on 3 or 4 thoughtful, respectful dates, and the invitation comes at a natural moment, then perhaps it is an honest step forward in the relationship. But if it arrives after one drink at 11:30 at night, then the truth is more obvious. It is less about knowing your heart and more about convenience. And that is where many women, especially in love after 60, risk being misled. Because we want to believe that every invitation means care, when sometimes it means the opposite. There is an old saying, "When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time." A man who truly respects you will not need late-night invitations to prove it. His care will show itself in how he invests his time, how he listens, and how he stays. But a man who leans on "come over" too soon reveals that what he seeks may be fleeting. The invitation itself is not the problem. It is what lies beneath it. And as women, we must learn to separate convenience from commitment, desire from devotion. Once we see that clearly, we no longer mistake a casual call for a true connection. And yet, men are clever. If "come over" doesn't work, there is another phrase that sounds even more reassuring. A phrase that pretends to honor your boundaries.
We don't have to do anything. Have you ever had a man look you in the eyes and say softly, "We don't have to do anything"? At first, it feels like a kindness, a promise that he respects your boundaries. The words sound like a gift of safety, almost noble in their gentleness. But I've learned, through both experience and observation, that this phrase often carries another meaning beneath the surface. Let me share a scene. A friend of mine, Eleanor, who began dating after 60, told me about a man she saw for a short time. On their third meeting, he invited her to his place, saying, "We don't have to do anything." She laughed, felt reassured, and accepted. But the moment she walked in, she noticed how the lights were dimmed, the wine already poured, and music playing softly in the background. What followed was not distance, not respect, but a slow push of her boundaries. He had said one thing, but his actions told the truth. His words were the bait, his behavior was the hook. This is the subtlety. Some men use this phrase to disarm, to lower the defenses of a woman who values her dignity. By suggesting there is no pressure, they make her feel she is in control. Yet, as the old proverb says, the tongue may hide what the eyes reveal. And the eyes, the gestures, the timing, those reveal the truth. Now, to be fair, not every man who utters this phrase is manipulative. A man who genuinely respects you will not only say it, but also hold back. His body language will match his words. He will sit beside you without reaching. He will offer comfort without expectation. In such moments, you can feel the difference between a man's honor and a man's agenda. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had an experience where a man's words gave you one impression, but his actions told you another story? I would love to hear about it in the comments. Your wisdom might be the very thing another woman needs to read tonight. The phrase, "we don't have to do anything," teaches us one powerful truth. Words can soothe, but actions expose. And once you learn to trust the evidence of behavior, you'll never be fooled by gentle promises again. And sometimes men move from reassurance to romance. The next phrase sounds like poetry, yet often carries the same hidden intent. I just want to be close to you. There are some words that melt through a woman's heart like warm sunlight on a cold morning. Few are as powerful as when a man leans in and says, "I just want to be close to you." In that moment, the line feels almost irresistible, romantic, tender, filled with the kind of longing we hope to find even in our later years. For many women in love after 60, the desire for closeness is not about passion alone, but about the comfort of being seen and held after so many seasons of giving to others. Yet here is the paradox. Closeness can mean two very different things. One is the closeness of spirit, of two people sharing honesty, laughter, and truth.
The other is simply physical nearness, a man seeking comfort in your body without investing in your being. The words may be the same, but the reality behind them can lead to entirely different paths. Philosophers have long wrestled with this tension. Aristotle once wrote, "Love is composed of a single soul inhabiting two bodies." Beautiful words, but how often are they confused with the momentary fire of passion? Desire often dresses itself in the language of the eternal, and it is up to us to listen carefully for the difference. A man who truly wants emotional closeness will not rush, and his presence will not vanish when intimacy is denied. His closeness will show itself in patience, in listening, in choosing to remain even when the physical is not offered. But a man who seeks only the body will use the poetry of closeness as a mask, vanishing when it no longer serves his purpose. The test is not in the sweetness of his words, but in the constancy of his presence. Words are easy to scatter like petals, but constancy is the root that nourishes real love. When we understand this, we stop confusing fleeting lust with lasting intimacy. We begin to see that true closeness cannot be begged for or borrowed. It is revealed over time through consistent care and quiet loyalty. And just when we think we've seen through the poetry of closeness, another phrase arrives, one that feels even more intoxicating. It is the line that makes a woman feel unforgettable.
I can't stop thinking about you. I once heard a story from a woman named Maribel, who began dating after 60 with a hopeful heart. A man she met would send her late-night texts that read, "I can't stop thinking about you." At first, those words lit her up inside. They made her feel special, chosen, unforgettable. For weeks, she carried those texts like love letters in her mind. But soon she noticed a pattern. His messages came mostly at midnight when he was lonely or restless. During the day, there were no calls, no invitations, no effort to truly know her. Maribel realized he wasn't thinking about her life or her soul. He was thinking only of her body. This is the delicate truth of such a phrase. It sounds romantic, almost like something from an old song, but its meaning depends entirely on the man behind it. Sometimes, yes, it is the language of devotion. Other times, it is simply desire dressed in poetry. And the difference lies not in the words, but in what comes after them. A man who truly cannot stop thinking about you will show it with consistency. He will call in the morning, plan his days to see you, and invest not just in your beauty, but in your being. A man who only sends those words in the shadows of the night shows you exactly where his thoughts begin and end. Let me ask you this, because I know many of you have lived through such moments. Have you ever had a man tell you he was always thinking about you, but his actions revealed something else entirely? I'd love for you to share your stories in the comments. Your honesty might give another woman the courage to trust her instincts. As the saying goes, love is shown more in deeds than in words. It is the steady pattern of care that proves whether his thoughts are of passion alone or of partnership. And so when you hear a man whisper that you're always on his mind, take a moment to see whether his presence matches his poetry. Because when it doesn't, you'll know the truth. And yet, just when we think we've understood the difference between poetry and truth, another phrase appears. It is softer,
dreamier, almost cinematic. It's the kind of line that can make a woman believe the night itself holds magic.
I don't want this night to end. What makes a single evening feel so magical that someone wants to hold on to it forever? That is the feeling wrapped inside the words, I don't want this night to end. Spoken softly, it sounds almost cinematic, like a line taken from a love story. To hear it after hours of laughter and conversation can feel enchanting, as if you've stepped into a moment where time itself has slowed, where you are treasured beyond measure. But as with so many tender phrases, the meaning is layered. Sometimes it is no more than an attempt to stretch the evening into intimacy, to turn goodbye into something physical. Other times it reflects genuine joy, the kind of connection where a man truly does not want to let go of your presence. The challenge is knowing which one you are being offered. Philosophers remind us that desire is a traveler, but devotion is a home. Desire clings to the moment, asking for more time, more pleasure, more escape. Devotion, however, reveals itself in continuity, in wanting not just this night, but the days and seasons to follow. When a man says he does not want the night to end, the real question is whether he also desires the morning after, the week after, and the shared tomorrows that stretch ahead. The Stoics gave us another truth. It is not what we say, but what we repeat that shows who we are. Anyone can utter romantic lines under soft lighting and wine, but only consistency turns those lines into truth. If he truly wants more than the night, his actions will return again and again, proving his interest is not bound by darkness, but carried into daylight. So, when those words reach your ears, pause. Ask yourself not how beautiful the evening feels, but how steady the days before and after have been. Because love is not measured by the sweetness of one night. It is revealed in the willingness to walk with you into all the mornings that follow. And that, I believe, is the quiet wisdom of listening between the lines. As we bring this conversation to a close, I want to return to the heart of what we've shared. In love after 60, words still hold power. They can flatter, excite, and even deceive. But words alone are never enough. The phrases we've explored, whether it's "you should come over" or "I don't want this night to end," remind us that the true measure of a man lies not in what he says for a moment, but in how he shows up over time. I believe one of the great gifts of aging is clarity. We have lived long enough to see patterns, to know the difference between someone's longing and someone's loyalty. The fire of attraction is still beautiful, even necessary, but it cannot replace the steady warmth of respect, kindness, and devotion. And when you learn to hear beneath the surface of a man's words, you discover that you hold the power, not him. You choose what to allow into your life, and you decide which invitations to accept. The ancient poet Rumi once wrote, "Raise your words, not your voice. It is rain that grows flowers, not thunder." In the same way, a man's true love is revealed not in dramatic lines, but in the quiet rain of his consistent care. That is the kind of love worth opening your heart to. So as you walk forward in this season of your life, remember this. You are not waiting to be chosen, you are choosing. You have the wisdom of experience, the strength of survival, and the dignity of knowing your worth. If this message has spoken to you, I would be grateful if you liked this video, subscribed to Wise Life After 60, and shared it with a friend who might need these reminders. Every connection we make here strengthens the circle of women who walk into their golden years with confidence and grace. Walk gently, live wisely, and never forget the power you hold in choosing love on your own terms.